No mātou te mailangi, mātou whawhtai nei aso. We teiteina mairo lātou soifua ma le mātou ola. Mātou amataina le nei whamoe moe. Mātou tu atu i ato e le mātou tamā i e fsosani mai. A wina mailo anganga i ne mwhai na mafuta mai mātou i ne mwhai na whatau wina le nei lau fufuanga ma le nei aso. Whamnia foi ai lātou lo saunia presentation mo i mātou i ne mwhai o na mātou langona whatasi. Ma mātou maua le fia tu sa ma le nei whamoe moe. Our Father in heaven, we give thee thanks for our many blessings, grateful for this beautiful day and the opportunity for us to come together as Pacific people and be able to learn from each other and Talanoa, and pray that thou will bless us, and especially those who will be doing presentation, that they will be able to present in a way that will help every one of us enjoy this session, and pray for those who will be facilitating as well, and ask that thou will guide us throughout the remainder of this session. We humbly pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Lord Pito, thank you. We give our utmost thanks to our mātuas who have blessed us for this day. We can't do the work that we do without them, so we acknowledge our mātua. Mālolelei, talofalava, whakalofalahi atu, kia rana, ni sa bulavanaka. Kia ora. My name is Natalie Ledger, and I hold the absolute honour and privilege of being the manager of Whaliola, which is our community Pacific mental health service. I am Tongan. You can't guess by looking. But within my heart, absolutely, I'm third generation New Zealand born. And most importantly, I'm a nurse, and very proud to stand here today for us to come together as we talk about building bridges, and that's about professional growth for our Pacific nurses. To start with, I suppose what I wanted to say is I want to give our thanks, give our absolute acknowledgement to our families, to our support people, to our parents, our grandparents, and for me, as my great-grandparents who came to this land of milk and honey to give us better opportunities. And so we can't do what we do without them, and so we have them here with us as we know today, and we honour them. To Josephine, who is the lead of our Pacific Nurses Leadership Group. Josephine is a champion ensuring that we have opportunities like this, the Talanoa, to come together. So we thank you, Josephine, and to the Pacific Nurse leaders for this opportunity. To our other leaders that are here today who ensure that we have the opportunities to grow and develop in the way in which we need to so that we can serve our people. We acknowledge Jane Earle, who is the Clinical Nurse Director for Mental Health Services. We have Denise Black here with us also, who is our nurse educator. She is the lady who ensures that we know everything that we need to know. But right through the whole organisation, to our Don and to others who give us the opportunities that we need in order to grow. It is just so wonderful to see all of these student nursing badges here today. You are our future. We want to assure you that today we give you our commitment to ensure that your journey is as good as it needs to be. We're really, really proud of you all. We need you to know that, how proud we are that you are doing what you're doing and that you're going to come out shortly. And I suppose, what we want to say is we are here. We're absolutely here to support you and if you need us. Want to give thanks to the Pacific mental health nurses who are here today, who have brought themselves along to share with you some of the work that they do and the journeys that we experience within mental health. As you all know, having Pacific people, serving Pacific people absolutely makes a difference to our health outcomes. And, you know, we can only but encourage you all to, you know, share with others about what a great and rewarding career it is to be a nurse. And today we are going to show you what a wonderful, rewarding career it is to actually work within the mental health sector. There's a lot of myths, there's a lot of unknowns, there's a lot of things that people think about mental health, and of course for us as Pacific, there's a lot of considerations that we need to have in terms of the cultural thoughts, perceptions surrounding mental health. So I honour and acknowledge every single one of you as a cultural expert, for those who are also going to be clinical experts and those who currently are. The challenge for us is how do we go to share that with our colleagues? We have a huge, as you know, we've got the biggest Pacific population on the planet here in County Manukau. We have a duty to serve. We're not going to be able to care for our people in ethnic specific services. So we have to ensure that we share our cultural knowledge with our colleagues wherever you are. Finally, I just wanted to say that health is mental health. Whether you are considering to end up in mental health or not, wherever you are, you can always consider the mental health and well-being of the person who's before you and their family. So if there's one thing we hope you take away with you today, and that is absolutely no matter where you are, no matter what area you're working in, health is about mental health. So it's wonderful to have you all here. Thank you for creating the space for us to come into Talanoa. Matua was sharing with me just before we began about how this is our way, and he talked about how back home and in the village, this is how we learn. We come together, we talk and we share, and so we're really excited to be able to present to you today Pacific Mental Health. Mahalo, Pito. Mahalo.
Whakalofa lahi atu, my name is Angeline Heko. Lahi whiawhia mo whakau e ke matua hahelangi ha ko whakalataha tu tōru ki he liu whalene ki whanongonongo ai po ke tau se e tau Talanoa ke latai mo ahau. I will be your facilitator or MC for today, and I first would like to invite, first of all, I am the clinical nurse lead, clinical nurse specialist, nurse lead from Whaleola Services, been in Whaleola since we started way back in 1999, been a nurse since I left high school, started off as psychopedic nursing, and now still in mental health. We will hear from Josephine as our opening speaker.
Talofa lava malo lei, whakalofa lahi atu, kia rana, kia ora. Bula minaka, and greetings to you all. I just thought maybe to, before I start, just to kind of break the ice a bit, because I think everyone's still a bit, you know, I don't know, waking up, or what I thought I'd like you to do first, just to get to know each other a little bit before I speak, is just to go and meet one person that you've never met before and say hello and introduce yourself. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that and then come back and sit down. For those of you who don't know what Talanoa is a word used, it's commonly used in the Pacific to talk, to dialogue, to discuss, to debate, and to present, to share your stories. This is what Talanoa is about. And it's a concept that was adopted from ADHB, Pacific Nurse Leaders, which we've now started here at Counties last year. And thanks to the Pacific Nursing and Midwifery leaders, we're able to have Talanoa with the support of our Director of Nursing, Denise Kibble, and also Thelma Thompson, our Director of Midwifery. So I'd like to welcome you all. Talofa lava. As Angeline introduced me, I am Josephine Samuelu, the Manager for the Future Workforce team, and it's a real privilege and an honour for me to be up here to speak to you all this morning, and I'm so happy to see all of you. Every Talanoa we've seen new faces, met new nurses, and this is another thing about the Talanoa, is that it's a networking forum where you can come together, meet other Pacific and non-Pacific nurses to find out what they're doing, where where they're working in the areas of serving this community here in counties. So I want to congratulate you for being here, and thank you also for being here. So our theme today, as you look in your program, is Building Bridges, Professional Growth for Pacific Mental Health Nurses. And building bridges is something that as Pacific people we're very good at, because we love Te Talanoa. I also want to acknowledge the midwives, and we've got a midwife, a community midwife, Sarai Te Pou, who'll be speaking today as well. And they are quite a big, an important part of Talanoa as well, to talk about what they do in the community in serving our Pacific people. Building bridges, you know, when I think of the work that the mental health nurses do, in particular the Pacific mental health nurses, and the years that I've known Angeline and also Nat, we come from the same generation of nurses who studied back in the 80s, 90s, maybe earlier than that. So we've been around for a while, working in the health sector. And it was only a handful of us. I actually studied in the Wellington School of Nursing. And of a class of 100, there were only 5 of us Pacific, and only 3 of us passed state final, and I was one of them. So it was quite a lonely time being a Pacific student. In working in a very, I suppose, Bālangi world, coming straight from high school into studying nursing. But one of the nurses that actually helped me in my early years of nursing was a mental health nurse, a Pacific mental health nurse, who gave so much of her life and her time to helping other nurses, particularly Pacific nurses. And one of the things that I learned from her experience in mental health is how to develop a rapport and a relationship with patients. And it's about building bridges not only with patients, but also with the staff that I worked with at the time. And over the years, I've seen the mental health sector really lead in this area of building bridges, especially around professional development. And they're leading in nurses who have achieved their master's degrees and have gone on to be quite influential leaders within the health sector around the cultural competency training and developing initiatives around clinical and cultural competency have been led by a lot of Pacific mental health nurses, and with the support of organisations like LEVA. And I just want to acknowledge all the work that the Pacific mental health nurses have done over the years, and it's not just here in counties, but also nationally as well. I also want to congratulate and acknowledge those who have completed their masters but have also dedicated and committed their time in growing other nurses, mental health nurses, to come through, not just academically but professionally as well. We're seeing a lot more mental health nurse leaders come through. We're seeing a lot more students who are interested in working in mental health because they've been given the support and the mentoring as students in their clinical placements in places like Whaleola and Te Aho Mai and the Pacific Community Mental Health Services. And so I want to congratulate and thank you for the work that you've been doing and that I know you'll continue to do, and continue to be strong in what you do and leading the way and building those bridges, not only professionally but also clinically as well. So Nat, congratulations to you and your team, and to the others who are here from various mental health services. Keep on keeping on. And like Nat said, and I wrote it down, health is about mental health, and that's what I learned as a student in my career of 20 so years in the health sector. But it's part and parcel of what you do as a Pacific nurse. And there's a lot of giving, but I also believe and have experienced there's a lot of receiving as well from the experience, from patients as well as colleagues. And I also want to acknowledge the midwives as well and the work that they've been doing, who have been quite a small workforce of Pacific midwives. We only have 10 here at Counties, but we pop out the most babies here in New Zealand, Pacific babies that is, you know. And so they're another workforce that we also need to support and encourage to help them also bridge the gaps, particularly around the workforce shortage. And a lot of the work that the current Pacific midwives are doing are supporting our current students who are studying through AUT midwifery program to also come through, and hopefully within the next 3 years we would have tripled our Pacific midwifery workforce. So I'd just like to thank the mental health nurses and also the midwives for leading today, and congratulate you all on the work you're doing. I'm looking forward to hearing your initiatives, and just want to also let you know that if you need any support in the work you're doing, please come and see me, come and talk to me. My office is in the support building on the 3rd floor. I'll probably be bombarded now, but it's a good thing, because that's what we're there to do, not only to serve our colleagues, but also to serve, you know, our people and our community. So whaafatai lava, malo soifua. Thank you.
We will now hear from our first speaker, our second speaker, new graduate Manu Langi, and we will hear from him and make sure, and we will learn something new from him.
I hope. Marao Morelei Pongpongin. Good morning to you all. My name is Manu. Surname Lang is stated in the agenda for today. Yeah. And I'm a Tongan. I arrived in New Zealand in 1993, and I got my permanent residence in late 94, so I start my study. I start studying in MIT in 95 in various fields. I got no job, and it looks to me that looking for a job is harder than having your qualification. So some of my friends invite me to come and study nursing. But the question is, back in the island, by culture, nursing is a female thing. It's not a male thing. So it's that kind of view hold me back from studying nursing in a earlier age. So, and up to a time that during the recession, before recession, I was studying carpentry and thought that in building industry, I'm gonna get some more money from there and have a better life. But recession kicked in and things goes around and it doesn't work the way that I thought. So I used to look at the newspapers, ads, and I found that the nursing career pop up most of the time. So these things, that thing encouraged me to try nursing. So 2010, I enrolled for the first semester at MIT, and I take the Bachelor of Nursing. And and during the recession, that one of the highlights that encouraged me is the job available for nursing. So that's one of the highlights for me. And during my study, I found out that one of my lecturer is a Tongan, that he's a nursing. He's doing nursing. That's Shonevaka, which is very encouraging, you know. So the load of the cultural view start getting lighter and lighter. And not only that, but so Shonevaka was one of the first 3 nursing recruitment in the island. And during my clinical placements, I found out that Tavake Kaho is also a Tongan doing nursing. So these things is for others, they may not look at that as encouraging, but for me, male nurses over there, no problem there. So during the course of study, there were lots of challenges, but I'll talk a few because of, as everyone knows, that financial is one of the most challenge to everyone in the time. But lucky I was thinking by myself in the time, it's sad to separate with my ex-wife, but it's good in terms of financial. I sometimes end up with just $40 a week, and from that that's for my petrol and my food, and I ask my elder brother to pay my power bill every month for that period of time, and also one of the things that was challenging was I have to modify my lifestyle, which is the first time for me to modify my lifestyle to fit what I'm doing. One of the concepts that popped up in the first semester at MIT, if you do exercise regularly, it's going to help your motivation, your concentration, and your brain activity. You're going to make it better. So I forced myself to go to the gym and registered to the Otara Community Gym, and I found it works well. And during the course of study, there were the concepts of mental health pop up many times, and it was very interesting because they have a different view from our traditional point of view about mental health. Usually it's caused by a evil spirit, and the traditional healer just come in with few leaves and mix them and then treat the patient. After 3 minutes, it's gone, it's done. See, back to normal. The patient back to normal. But in here, the Western view or what we're doing here is very different. So these are the kind of things that really push me to the direction of mental health. I feel it's very interesting. It's good to explore. It's good to discover that area and find why it's there. And also the minimum number of the Tongan nurses are doing mental health. I don't know why. So the best thing to do to understand it is to put myself in nursing in mental health and to find out by myself. And and also during the course of study, there were people that encouraging me to come to mental health and work over there, not only because of a lot of jobs, the pay, and a few other things. And in my time of my clinical placements in Manukau Community Mental Health and also in the Whirinaki, they are I can say that they are the foundation for me to really say yes to the mental health. They're very supportive. They also encourage me to go in mental health, working together with the Pacific people, especially the Tongans over there. I feel in my heart that's the thing that I have to take, because I'm not helping myself, but I'm helping my people. And not only that, but the rest of the BI people. And one thing that I see that few of our people doing nursing that they're taking mental health, but for those that doing mental health, I say Tavake is an example. He still survived and he's still doing well. So, okay, I can do well too. So, yes, we have to take the nursing career. And for this new grade program, apart from passing expecting to pass the competencies required, the course that I'm taking at doing with the uni, and so on, also to secure a job for the next year after this new grade program, I want to know more about the workplace as much as possible, the different level in the workplace where I'm working. Currently, I'm in Huia Ward, but after this, I'll go to college. So I know there are two different settings. I have to learn more as much as possible while I'm in my new grad placements. And also to understand or to know who to contact to in what issue. Like one, where I was, a patient asked me to call the doctor. And I go to the whiteboard and found the doctor's name and find the number and call him and found out that one of the senior nurses told me, no, you don't have to call those on the top. The second, the one in the next, not the consultant, the next one down. So I go that way. So that's the kind of understanding I wish to be very good in doing that during my inpatient and also when I'm going to the community. Not only that, but I wish to do as much as possible in terms of paperwork, like discharge, admission. I remember in terms of discharge, I was given help on doing one of the discharges. That's my first discharge, and most of it I didn't do it well. And an email came back to my preceptor and says, please train him well. So these are the kind of things that for those that have been in the field for long times, it's not a big deal with you. But for us new grad, I wish to help the workplace, the ward or the community placement that I'm going to work with to make an improvement in a sense as a foundation for those the new grad to come in the future to have a easier life than me. Maro a bit.
Whakawelahi Manu. To the next presenters, when you're up here, can you please put the mic up to your, up here, so, because we're also recording. One of the things that, quite a few points that Manu talked about, role models and mental health nursing, and there are some role models here, so probably in the future, Manu, there will be other people who will be along their nursing career will look up at you as a role model. And we have heard about Sione Vaka, who's also the original nurse from Faleola Services. I'd also like to acknowledge Manukau Community Mental Health Centre and Whirinaki, the two services that nurtured Manu, so he was able to choose mental health to come into, because most of the Pacific nurses came to Faleola, and after that they chose to come back to mental health, but I'd like to acknowledge those services. Now we will hear from our nurses from Vakatoa team, Child and Adolescent Mental Health Whirinaki, Lotte, Makoni, and Madonna.
So, talofa lava, malo lele, kia orana, whakalofa lahi atu, and warm Pacific greetings to you all. My name is Lotte, and together with my colleagues Makoni and Madonna, we're going to share a little bit about our experience of what it's like to be a Pacific nurse at CAMS. Just to outline a bit about our presentation, first I'll explain a little bit about what CAMS is and a bit about our service, and then hand over to these lovely ladies so they can share a bit about their experience. So, whirinaki. Whirinaki actually is a Māori word that means depend or translated support, and we're a service based out in East Tamaki. So we service the county's Manukau DHB catchment area for children from the ages of 4 all the way up to 18, depending on if they're still in school. And we're like set up in a kind of a team situation. So we have 4 general teams, 2 general youth teams and 2 general child teams, a kaupapa Māori team who service the Māori referrals that come through, and then we have the Pacific team. So a little bit about the Pacific team. The name of our team is Vakatoa, and translated that means the strength of our journey, and it's a New Waian term. How we differ from other teams is that we engage families with cultural support from Matua and also Rarotongan or Cook Island Matua. So our team was established back in 2008 just with the view of Pacific clinicians servicing the Pacific community, especially for the children and the adolescents coming through. So we're all Pacific clinicians. That's a photo that I stole from Matua. That's our most recent photo, and so it doesn't include most of our team. So we have Fijian, Tongan, Cook Island, Niuean, clinicians on board, and Samoan. It's very important. The nature of our referrals is suicidality, I guess, in the young adolescents, self-harm or behaviour in the children that come through, and also depression. So our team work in an assertive outreach approach. So we try our best to meet with families wherever they feel comfortable because, as you all know, we're from big families and one parent can't come out and just, to our clinics sometimes, especially out in East Tamaki. So we try our best to meet families wherever they feel comfortable, usually at home. So we do a lot of home visits and school visits just to make it more easier on the families and the young people. We also do duty-ing, not triaging. So we try our best. We have a duty clinician allocated to our team with the goal of ensuring that the initial contact families have with our service is with the Pacific person. And we also assess and treat in a routine situation, also in urgent situations. So we see families that come through ED during work hours. We see kids at school if school guidance counsellors are concerned, and also at the police station and other fun places. We also hold groups as well for young people who kind of don't feel comfortable with the one-on-one. So the dealing with the stress group is for the self-harm kind of referrals, an alcohol and drug group, an anger group for boys mainly, and an incredible years parenting program. And all of these are tailored to the more Pacific way of delivering a group. And most of the groups that us girls hold are at school as well. So we don't really require them to come into the clinic unless they're able to. And we also do a lot of community liaising, hence our cool uniforms, so you can see us from afar. So we've got we've had stores in the past at FOBO, which was a recent community event, so that was for Otara by Otara, and just kind of networking with other services that provide services to youth and children, just to ensure that the profile of the Vakatoa team is out there for parents to kind of know and find out. So it's a bit about the context of where we come from and our work. So I'll now hand over to my colleagues just to share a bit more about their experience being a nurse in our service.
Thank you, Lotte. Malo lelei, talofa lava, kiolana, whakalofa lahi atu, pula vinaka, and many more Pacific Island greetings. My name is Makoni Kinasova Havea. I was born in Hawaii, Tonga Island, on the 7th of Feb, 1986. So I'm really young. My mother is from Hawaii and my father is from Mava'u. I am the eldest girl and the second child out of 5. My family migrated to the main island of Tonga, which is Tonga Tapu, before my 2nd birthday. I was brought up in Haveluloto in Tonga Tapu, where I attended the government primary school of Whangapiro level. In 1996, I set the college entry exam and attended Tonga High School in 97. Unfortunately, on the 15th of January 1997, my mother passed away at home. Sadly, I buried my mom on the first day at high school. So this was the first day I was meant to be at school, so I didn't end up going to school. Due to us being young and my father working full-time, we had to move and stay with my auntie and cousins in another village and left my dad behind. On the 21st of May 2001, my family migrated to New Zealand. I still remember on arrival, walking out of the airport of the Auckland airport and thinking, well, this is it, things will change. In June 2011, I attended Marceline College. For those of you who don't know Marceline College, it's the best go-ed Catholic school in New Zealand. And what a day. I still remember my first day at school, walking into class and everyone stared at me. I remember being scared at lunchtime, not knowing who to hang out with, and of course I have to speak English. In 2007, I lost one of my closest cousins, which I refer to my brother. He completed suicide. In 2008, another cousin of mine completed suicide. I remember my father struggled to find a job when we first moved here and struggled to pay my school fees. I remember sharing rooms with my two cousins, and oh no, there was no privacy at all. I remember going to school and struggled to make friends. I remember moving from house to house due to overcrowding. I graduated from the University of Auckland in 2009 with a Bachelor of Nursing. I'm currently working at Whirinaki in Te Wakatoa Pacific team as a registered nurse and has been there since 2011. So you must be all wonder, why CAMS, why am I sharing my stories, and why a Pacific mental health? From my life experience, I can relate to my clients in many ways, although some of them I've met and have come across more challenging things in their life compared to mine. However, I have learned a lot from working with these young people. Some of the things I can relate to them are what is it like being in a new environment, migrating to a new country, dealing with Pacific parents, yep, high expectations from mom and dad, grief, what is it like to lose someone special in your life, and so on. But overall, I am Pacific and I can speak fluent Tongan as well. I love being a Pacific nurse because that's what makes us different from other nurses. We have been trained for so many years how to become a nurse and to follow best practice. Don't you all love that? But with a warm Pacific heart, our love and respect to our clients' families, that's what makes us unique from other nurses. Malo Alpito.
Talofa and warm Pacific greetings. O lo'o ingoa o Madonna Desla. That's sadly one of the very few things I can say in Samoan. But I am a registered nurse on the Wakatoa team. I pretty much started with them when they started in Whirinaki, so that was about 5 years ago. So I'm pretty old compared to these other two, but I convinced them to come back. So recently I attended a Pacific leadership workshop. It was very inspirational and motivational, I suppose. And which is why we're sharing our stories today, because from what I took from that, it was like we learnt more from learning from others. And that just made me question what made me different to other non-Pacific nurses. So here's my story. I was born in Western Samoa, and I left there when I was only a few months old, where my parents decided to move to Australia. For 5 years, my parents, as you can see, my dad is Palangi, New Zealand European, and my beautiful mother on the side, she is Samoan. They both struggled to overcome financial difficulties as well as racial. We eventually moved to New Zealand when I was 5, 6. It was a new climate and new school, new faces, just knew everything. But the best thing was I was no longer the only brown in town. So I think it's fair to say, like Goni says, we come across a lot of people who have challenges that are a lot harder than what we have to face. But you know, from the years that pursued from when we first got to New Zealand, there were challenges that I realized that I could relate to with our young people, and that's probably one of the main reasons why I'm still in CAMS today. So some of these things that I relate to our clients, I can relate to understanding the value of my mum leaving her home and her family in Samoa. And I can relate to the Pacific parents' expectations and obligations. I can relate to dysfunctional families and relationships, as I'm sure we all can relate to. I can relate because I have failed, and I can also relate to our young people because I have achieved. But above all of those things, the main thing I can relate to is because I'm a Pacific person. I argue with my dad about these things all the time because him being Balangi, he doesn't see it. He sees me for me. Everyone should be treated equally, he says. And I understand that, but what he doesn't understand is equally from whose view? The Asian, the Balangi, the Samoan, the Tongan, American, Indian, we all have our different views. So in my world, my Pacific view, I see what he doesn't see. And because of that, that's what makes the difference. If you ask me to articulate what that is exactly, I can't. It's an ongoing and evolving process. What I took from the workshop that I attended is that it's all about our values as a Pacific culture that help us to unite our understanding of care. Love, family, and respect, all important values for every culture, I'm sure. But it's the way that this care is executed that makes the difference. So it's from taking your shoes off at the door when you go to a client's house, to accepting a cup of tea, to keeping your mouth shut for almost an hour while your cultural advisor speaks to the parents or the grandparents in Samoan. And I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, what are they saying? So, altogether, it's just those small subtleties that we take for granted that are already ingrained in us from our Pacific culture. You can train someone to be a nurse, but you can't make them a Pacific nurse. You're just born with it, and that's what makes the difference. So I'd just like to say thank you for everyone attending and listening to our stories. I'll just open the floor up if there's any questions that you have for us about our CAMS service.